You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.
Yo, Dalston Radio Live. Welcome. Our In Conversation series, back with another phenomenal conversation. And today we're going to be talking about books, something very near and dear to our hearts. We recently covered the Black British Book Festival as part of our When Last You Pick Up a Book. When Last You Pick Up a Book. Phenomenal event, Black authors, Black people interested in Black literature, learning. It was a phenomenal experience. We met wonderful authors there with stories, varied backgrounds, varied perspectives, which is something that we think there is not enough of. We have been blessed today to be joined by one such author doing something against the grain. Today, we are here with author Kamal Lewis. Kamal, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, my brother.
And today we are going to be talking about Kamal's journey, his new book, which is inbound, soon to be released for you all to get your hands on a copy. The book in question, if we can show the audience, Detective Shabazz. Phenomenal title, phenomenal looking book by the author himself, Kamal Lewis. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, the crux of the book, if I could ask for you, Kamal, to let us know a little bit about you. Where are you from? What got you into writing? Tell us, we really do want to know.
Yeah, so I'm Kamal Lewis. I'm born and raised in West London. Well, majority of it was in West London. Bits and pieces of it was in Northwest London. Big shout out to everyone on the West and Northwest. As I know my brother here too is originally from those sides as well. And big up Dalston and East and all over London, man. There's no division among us. Writing has always been a passion of mine. It's one of those passions which was almost indescribable. It just becomes part of your function and just how you live your life. Well, for me personally, it started off with my journey into writing was very weird. I used to have these games that I couldn't complete. Do you remember the Sega Dreamcast? Yeah. And those games that I was too young to complete, and I used to just say, I wonder what happens at the end. So I started writing my own endings in these little notepads. And then I eventually, I started to do that for every single little, every little movie or anything in media that I took to. And then it became a thing of, I just had these notepads full of these little comic strips and, these characters that I'd created. And then I said to myself, you know what? Why don't I actually go and actually start writing and creating my own characters? I couldn't say I knew how to draw. I couldn't say I knew how to write, really. But it was a thing that just grew upon me, and I really took to English in school. I had good relationships with my English teachers. And then they had something called the Oral History Project, which was dedicated to Black Caribbean children who, they'd make us study literature and go on trips and, just delve into our history. So that also helped me to, establish a deep-rooted love for my people, as well as, and I'll never neglect, my mum and my dad. always teaching me about notable and people that aren't too noticed, are people that have actually, we stand on the shoulders of today. You know, the Marcus Garveys, the Malcolms, the Martins, the Louis Farrakhans, you know, and just teaching me about how to be proud of myself and how to see myself in the picture. Because one thing that really took to me was every single thing that I saw black people in, we was either secondary characters or we was the villain. And I used to say, why does it always have to be something negative? Why can't we ever be on the forefront? You know? And so I said, you know what? I want to change that. I don't want us to be negative because we don't all lead negative lives, you know? And I used to think, why? And I grew to understand, okay, yes, there's a part in media, you know, that has us depicted a certain way. However, in 2025, we have stations of our own. We can read and write. We can create. We're very creative people. We're known for our creativity. And I'm like, we can do it ourselves. And because I've always lived by them, strived to live by the quote of, it always dawns upon me that you must do for self or suffer the consequences. If you don't do for yourself, you will always suffer at the consequences which you don't really want to face yourself. So this is my part in saying, I want to do my part in trying to change our media and change our depiction. So by writing, it's been a creative force for me as someone who used to be a daydreamer who couldn't stay focused in class. I learned to train that creative imagination of mine to be able to put it from my head onto paper and hopefully to something that you will enjoy. In fact, something that you will enjoy. So, yeah. Yeah, that's how I say I started out.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I think one thing I would say is, so shout out to your mum and dad. You, in my opinion though, you should definitely be commended. And the reason why I say that, it is one thing to observe an issue, but your response to the observation is to change it. So you can always look at a situation perhaps and make a critique. You can look at a situation and say, that's not good. But what you have done, which I'm sure would have had its own challenges, is make headways into addressing the situation. Not only have you identified that there is a certain depiction that we suffer from, you have written a book based on your imagination. It's an action. So like, depending on your particular beliefs, I'm not asking anyone to believe it, but the Bible definitely says faith without works is dead. That's right. So you can have faith, but more than just the faith, you've done the work. Right. So when we speak about people like the Marcus Garveys and the other elders that have put work in, you have contributed to the work that's there. And you can look at it and say, well, but I don't look at it like that. Your contribution to the work with the decision to write the book, you don't know what tomorrow will bring, but you've made a heavy decision to bring this work to fruition. So I would say, well done. Thank you so much. Absolutely, well done.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. It's one of those things where because I've just done it, that it's not too foreign to me. I don't really think much of it because it's what I've been doing for years. So to hear that, you know, I really do appreciate it. You know, so thank you so much, my brother.
Absolutely. As a brother to a brother, as someone that reads, I spend a lot of time reading, you are contributing. There's a work there. that's got your name on it. You did it, you know. So it's something when you do have a chance upon reflection, you're doing well. You've contributed to the line of contributors. You're part of the thing, you know. And if I might ask, Detective Shabazz, why? What is your inspiration? How did the idea of it come about? It's so interesting to see a book of this kind. How did it come about?
Wow. I'm a big fan of action adventure. I'm also a fan of thrillers, mysteries, not really ideal movies, but horrors and stuff like that. Stuff that just jig the mind. So I think, you can see bits and elements of that in my book with the mystery, the mysteriousness, the dark, the dark theme of it. Yeah. But at the same time that there's some light as well, So I think I was writing something at the time, and I ultimately had to scrap it because I said, you know what, I want to start off with something different, something quite strong. So I always imagined a hero that was similar to the heroes that we know, but also as a creative, I had to create them myself. I didn't want to literally pattern them after someone verbatim. I just wanted, there to be a lot of similarities, but to have it in a way which is palatable for everybody to be able to, people inside our culture and outside of our culture, because I didn't just write it for Black people, just to let everybody know it's not just a Black book, Black Panther had a main Black cast, but it wasn't just for Black people, So yeah, exactly.
Anyone can.
Exactly, because people tend to think, with Black authors, they just write strictly for Black people, and it's not that, But I thought of someone who had a reason to fight crime, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right, it could be a policeman, it could be, just a random vigilante. I was thinking, imagine someone who was what would a revolutionary action hero look like? And I'm like, he would be loved but hated at the same time, because that's what a lot of our heroes have had to face. They've done a lot of good, but then there's been a lot of resistance per se from the governments and counterintelligence programs and whatnot. So I was like, okay, this could be something quite interesting. So I had to think of a name that, is held by someone who, is a hero in our community. And I thought, I don't want to go with Garvey because that's a bit, very, very strong. And I would have needed to strengthen a lot of my knowledge about him. But I thought of the name Shabazz, and Malcolm X had that name. I believe it was Al-Malik Shabazz. And something about Malcolm X really, the story of him really intrigues me. His whole journey to become the man that he ultimately did. And I thought of someone who, okay, he's loved, but he's really had a mark on him. And I believe Malcolm knew that he had a mark on him because of how, much of a threat he was and how intelligent he was. But I admired how articulate he was. He could just do that and just race off at everything that he was taught. So I said, yeah, I'd like a character like that. But I love action adventure. I love combat. I love, action. I love the thrill of it, and a lot of people do. So I said, okay, I can make something like this. And then I believe Marked Man in the Shadows, that came from me just thinking about going back and forth with the theme, because I believe a lot of writers can identify with this. You generally understand the plot of what you want to write, but sometimes the name might come last, because as you're writing, the story can change, the message can change. So you have to be very careful, even down to what you name the chapters after, if you do. So I said, okay, I named the chapters, but I was like, okay, I need an even bigger name for the actual book. So the main umbrella thing that it comes under, I was like, okay, he's a marked man and he lives in the shadows. So marked man in the shadows. And I felt like it just, sometimes I never believed that the creative force strictly comes from me. I believe it's connected to a higher power, so I give all credit to the man upstairs. But yeah, that's what kind of came about, really. Shabazz, the ancient meaning of it means, sorry to be so long-winded if I am, but
No way, please feel free. It's just a conversation that's flowing. Yeah. Speak your mind. We got the time.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank you. The name Shabazz means to be unconquerable. There's also a side of it that is rebellious. In ancient African teaching, there was a man who was named Shabazz who wanted his family to be unconquerable. So he wanted to move civilization into the jungles of Africa to prove that they could withstand the toughness of that environment. And not everybody around the table was in agreement with it. So he took his family out there. So you may even hear of like music groups like Wu-Tang Clan and whatnot, you know, people, them talking about the tribe of Shabazz and stuff like that, you know, and you know, so they were a tough people who were unconquerable. And when you look at us for what we have had to endure, 400 years of one of the worst atrocities that the world has ever seen, to come out and we still shine in the way that we do, despite all of the obstacles are in our path, we are still here. I wanted somebody that was that resilient, that seemed like they was unconquerable. But the rebellious side is someone who goes against the grain a bit. But the rebellious side is something that you'd actually be able to see in between those pages. So I'd say, yeah, the name Shabazz has a lot of meanings to it. And yeah, it's very deep.
Phenomenal. It's making me look quite forward to the book. I'm not, for those that know me and know the kind of books that I read, I'm not necessarily a fiction reader. But that is interesting, and interesting is interesting. You know, I think you touched on a few things which I would just like to expound on just a little bit. So one of the things that you mentioned is, so like when we're looking at this kind of anti-hero, I think, so like I tend to also resonate towards characters who aren't perfect. I think social media, 2025, the way things are, there is this false sense of perfection that is pushed. And if you deviate from this in any way, you are cancelled. You will receive backlash. And so I think it shows itself in the lack of truly new film, truly new music. There are outliers, but I think where there was once less emphasis on cancel culture and perfection is where the creativity is allowed to bloom. Your creativity, it comes from a place. It doesn't have to be necessarily a good place. And then the idea does what it does. But I think as time has gone on and people have become more restricted in the things they believe they can do and say, it's also reflected in the output of media forms. It's the same old music now. You're hearing legends passing every other day. Just Wade, D'Angelo. Rest in peace, D'Angelo. You're hearing actors and authors and people who have grown in particularly challenging times that needed to express this thing, whatever it is. And the cancel culture wasn't there necessarily to repress it, even if there were forces pushing against it. So for you to write a character and have him not be perfect, I think is very important. Even when we talk about people like the elders, like the Martins and the Malcolms and the Marcus Garveys, sometimes there can be this push of you must be a perfect participant where it doesn't exist. Even with the best of intentions, you're still a man or woman, right? So something I've seen with my reading and understanding of some of the elders who have done so much, they're not perfect people. They might have said and done some stuff that's super questionable. right? But their contribution and what they're aiming for and the work that they've done is something else. So I very much appreciate the perspective that you have, and to see that it translates also into the character that you're writing about. I think that's great. So yeah, thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It is important. We as humans, there's always a constant duality within us, you know, good and bad. You know, we may have inclinations to do certain things, but then without restraint and discipline, you know, we end up falling victim to those things. You know, a lot of things aren't necessarily bad for us, it's the misuse of it. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes when we even look at things like social media and our media for whatnot, it's not that it's bad, it's just the misuse of it. And then who sets the rules? You understand? So with all the appropriation that goes on, I think that as a creative, the power that you have within the book is you're like ultimately, or within anything you do, you're like a god. You can dictate everything that happens in this book. You can say, no, this character, you're going to have a bad day. You're going to be blessed today. This might be your last, you know what I mean? So there's so much that goes into it. But I do think that, especially with my main character, with holding a name like that and living the type of life that he lives, it definitely delves into a lot of the battles that he faces, you know, and you get to see a very vulnerable side to him, yet a very strong side to him. And you understand why they have to move the way they do, heroes in our community, whether you're black, white, whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's a way that they have to move because there's the image in which the world wants you to be, this perfect person. But then you are who you are in private, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, behind closed doors, not everybody is the super strong, big, tough man or woman that they are. You need a space to be a bit more vulnerable and let go. You know what I mean? So that delves into a lot of what the character faces. And, you know, someone like him who's not really allowed to show his identity, you see the duality within that and you see who he is able to open up to. So he becomes almost a different version of himself. And then you can see that in yourself. I highly doubt you are the same person to me who you are to your mother. You know what I mean? The relationship's different. Yeah. And she knows a bit more about you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she might be able to think, oh, he might not be able to do that. But then the whole world might be like, oh, he could do that. You know what I mean? So, you know, and that's just you being a human being. So I think sometimes we do have to see people who have power and influence. If they're doing a good cause, if they're fighting for a good cause, understand that they're not perfect. Just because somebody's in the limelight does not mean that they're perfect, does not mean that they know better. All of us got demons and things that we carry. We all got a lot of self-work to do. It's easier to stand there and point and say, that's a damn shame, look at him or look at her. Shame them. As opposed to saying, okay, that is a human being right there, but look at what they did. You know, look at the bigger picture. Look at the good that they did, as opposed to seeing the 1 or 2, 3 bad things that they've done and saying, okay, I'm going to wipe away all the good things that you've done. You know what I mean? That's just the negative side of the culture that we live in. But it's for us to wisen up and change to that, because if everybody put a camera lens on your personal life, I can guarantee that not everybody will be pleased to see what we do, you know? So, you know, Mark Man of the shadows, a lot goes on in the shadows as well. You know what I mean? So it delves into a lot of that. So yeah, there's a lot of angles in which I've tackled a lot of things from back then to now within this book.
Detective Shabazz, Marked Man of the Shadows. We are not done yet. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be continuing our phenomenal conversation with Kamal Lewis, author of Detective Shabazz, Marked Man of the Shadows.
You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.
I reside by my window side, and as the sun sets, I sit and wonder how much time is left. Will see the dreams I dream. I know they say that I am young, but still, is that just a silence? So comfort me. I see myself on a big stage, everyone saying my name, the eruption of applause. But I don't even have the confidence. Most times, yes, I am my biggest flaw. Oh, 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 oh. When will I learn how to let go? Don't wanna care anymore. Oh, 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 oh. When will I see and truly embrace the power in me? Me, 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 me. Ooh, will I ever change? I know I love myself. It's wired in my brain to go down for everybody else. Wishing that they could see the power in me. Me, 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 me. Ooh, why do I care so damn much? Why do I care so damn much? Why, but why, but why? Why, 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 why? Why, 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 why? Care about the basics. Care about the basics. So damn stop.
And we are back. We are back. We are back.
You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.
We are here in conversation with phenomenal author Kamal Lewis, author of Detective Shabazz, marked man of the shadows. I'm looking forward to this book very much. Even the discussion on humanity and different aspects of our humanity, it makes me want to read this book even more, just to understand a little bit more about the world that Kamal has created. And we met Kamal at the Black British Book Festival, which happened at the Barbican a few weeks back. An event that we personally enjoyed very much. It was wonderful to see such a heavy turnout of interested participants, especially Black people when it comes to literature. Wonderful to see the different types of book on offer, the different perspectives people had, and kind of listen to the journeys that made them write their particular books and why they found it important. For this bit, I would like to ask if you could tell us how you got involved with the festival and what your kind of experience of the event was, you know?
Wow. So I've been attending the Black British Book Festival for about 2 to 3 years, I believe. I think that's how long it's been going on. Shout out to Selena Brown, who actually hosts the she hosts the Black British Book Festival. She's doing an amazing job. I've always gone up there, taken notes. I met some phenomenal people. Also, shout out to Juliet Coley, who I met at one of them, who's been very helpful and instrumental. And I think it was last year, I went and I said to myself, I want to be at that number of people who actually had their book out there. I may not make it on stage because, you know, you have to be somebody very well notable to go off on stage and whatnot. But I was like, I want to be at that number. You know, it reminded me of, might be crazy, I might be reaching, but do you remember Sting in Jamaica? Yeah. Where every artist would just have like about 5-10 minutes on stage, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, I kind of compared it to that because, you know, I'm a big reggae dancehall. Shout out to my people at Jamaica. And, you know, we will fight through what's going on, what actually happened. You know what I mean? Big shout out and all the love from people at Jamaica and Grenada as well, because I'm half Grenadian. Yeah. But it is, I said I need to be a part of that number. My publisher, I think, went through some health issues, so things got delayed. So I had already bought, a stall there for this year, and I almost didn't make it. I received my copies for my book about 2 days before the festival. And a day after, my illustrator told me that he's got a stall somewhere, just randomly, in Slough. Shout out to Calvin Ruan, the illustrator of my book. If you see the artwork on this, it's tremendous. He's a phenomenal artist. Yeah, man, give a different sound, man. Trust me. He's great.
These biscuits are so nice.
Yeah.
These biscuits are very nice. You know?
Yeah, man, pick up Calvin Ryan, man. He did an amazing job. And I went there, and the reception was just so good. I think, first of all, people were just captivated by the artwork, just the cover. Yeah. And then it was in. So I was like, okay, this is selling really well. I sold off everything I brought with me. So then, and then I said, all right, here comes the book festival. I get there, and then I look around and I see people got book, they got notepad, they got pens, they got all these little accessories. I said, oh my God, all I got is a little book. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man, we look about with Talawa. And man, I went there and I had about 2-3 boxes, right? Just of books. And my friends came out to support me, my family. And again, I didn't know what to expect because I thought the competition is really against me. It was a big turnout. Everybody around me was just experienced. It's like there was nothing new to them about this. This is just what they do. It's their world. And there was a lot of publishers. I'm just an author. So it was different. I'm going against super established people. You know what I mean? Not only do they know how to write, they know how to put it out there. So I was like, man. But then, you know, it was just so wonderful. And it's such a good space for us in our community because Black people, we don't really get the light that other people tend to get amongst authors. Yes. We don't get it. So it's like we've had to do for ourselves. And that's why it's a big applause to Selena Brown. Yeah, she's done her thing. And you've given a platform for somebody like me to do this. Little do you know. And I got there and the reception was just so crazy. It was one of the best days of my life because I was like, you have a project and people don't really realize all the hard work that goes into it and what you actually go through when you're writing it. And for me to actually get there where it was looking like I'm not going to make it, I got there with just fresh new books that were like 2 days old. And then it had to be done as a pre-launch. So it wasn't really out yet. It was just like a pre-launch. So exactly the same way how you do like a pre-order. I treat it as a pre-launch because it's supposed to be out by then. Yeah. But because of the delay, I said it's going to be a pre-launch. And then I did it. And then the reception was so good, I sold out again. sold out again. And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. I was absolutely in awe. And then another crazy shout out to my dad and my sister, Marissa. And Nadine. Because what these three did was so interesting. They're very much outgoing people. Yeah. There was only so much I can do because I got to engage with, customers and whatnot. I was talking to another person who had a stand, and then there was a crowd around the DJ, what's his name? He's the DJ that DJs outside. AG. And shout out to him as well. He was performing and, everyone was standing around him. And the next thing you know, it went quiet. And then I just hear, where's Kamal on stage? I'm like, what? And then I see my dad and my sister say, come here, what are you doing? I run up on stage and I'm just standing in front of a sea of people. And then I just get asked, what's your book about? I'm like, oh my God, on the spot like that. You know what I mean? And then I just went at it. And then I just went into explaining it. And then as I'm talking, my dad just puts a copy in my hand. Like I don't even see it. It just appears right in front of me. You know what I mean? So like they really pulled through for me that day. And I really felt the warmth from everybody, and everybody was just super intrigued. And by the end of it, it was just so crazy. I never believed that I believed in myself, but you don't want to go with your expectations too high nor too low. You kind of want to find middle ground. But I prayed for it to exceed my expectations that day, and it did. So I'm very thankful to the Almighty for that, because that was a really, really big day for me this year. Amongst a lot of other challenges, it was big. So, that day was super crazy because I felt like I spoke it into existence last year when I said I need to be at that number. And the person who I said it to was like, man, you really got to get out there. You got to do this, that, and the third. And I was like, oh man, all right, cool. I got to do this. I got to find this, find that. And then little did I know I was doing it. But when you're in the mode of doing things, you don't really, you're not too, you're just doing, you know what I mean? So it's like I never really thought of it until I looked back and said, oh, I was clearing the checklist. So I'd say that's a very important thing when, you're trying to achieve certain goals. You write them down and, you internalize it. So you end up speaking it into fruition and you end up working towards it. So that was a very successful day for me. And that's how it came about, really. I just kept going to the festival. Brilliant speakers, brilliant people who've done tremendous works with their literature and, platforms. And then I became one of that number. So I'm so happy and grateful to be a part of that number on that day, because that was a tremendous day. I don't think they've ever had DJ AG there. So I think that was his first day there as well. So the day just went completely how I didn't expect it, and but it was great. So I'm so thankful for that day. And that's the day I met you.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed it is. That is the place where we met. And I think when you're describing your experience, it's very important that I don't forget also. So sometimes I will have conversations with Shay, and what you talked about, where when you are in the work, you're not necessarily taking time to reflect on any kind of win. It's just more work. So you're not even necessarily like, okay, that's a small win, that's a next win. You're just like, okay, yeah, that's done, and now there's another challenge, which is a great way, because you're not necessarily tied to the wins. It's about the work. But also, something that I am learning, it is important to actually reflect. For every piece of work that you have done, in another Marvel universe, there's a version of you who did none of it. So if you're looking at the product of your work, which is your book, there is another version of you that said it would be too hard, or that they wouldn't be able to do it, or that no one would care. There's 100 reasons to not do the thing. And in another universe, in Earth, whatever, that version picked that route and was potentially regretful. You are not that version. You're the version that said, I'm gonna do this thing. And you went to the festival just wanting to be a part of the number. You did that. Whereas you have people just in the audience. You still have, even if the Sting man get 5 minutes, it's a 5 minute some man aren't getting.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But you continue to go, continue to set yourself up, and to where when the opportunity arose, you almost had a subconscious reaction because you've been doing the work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us all as people, but as Black people definitely to, and I'm talking to myself as well, reflect on the small victories. If you're that way inclined, I am. Give thanks to the Most High, no goodness of our own. But don't forget the victories. The challenges will continue, but don't forget what you have surpassed to get to wherever you are in the journey, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And that was one of my imperfections. I reflect on things like my character or a situation, but I think sometimes when it comes to the journey of my work that, you know, you do every day, because stuff like this is very much an everyday thing. You know, you go to work, you come home, you're on that. You know what I mean? Or you could just be on driving or public transport, and the idea will come to you, and you're just writing things down. You're working, you know. So it's very rare for me to do that, and I try not. I'm a person who tries not to make. I don't walk around trying to make a big deal of myself, like in that way, like in terms of like being arrogant or big headed. And I think it's easy to get taken away by that, you know. So sometimes I'm like, it gets to a point where it's just normal to me. But then it's like, very rarely do I really look back and say, wow, I actually really did that. Yeah. So, and I'm something that I'm learning to do, because I'm someone who's quite hard on myself. And sometimes even as a man, there's so much expectations of you. You always feel, I need to meet that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Ever increases expectations. You gotta be perfect in every avenue. Yeah. You know, so even dealing with that, it's like it can creep into, you know, your own personal life outside of what you do and stuff like that. But then it is important to look back and, you know, not just to give yourself a pat on the shoulder, but to give yourself a pat on the shoulder to say, you know what, well done. You know what I mean? I need to tell myself, well done, a bit more. I'm pretty much just like, task cleared, task cleared, task cleared. Make sure I've done it properly, task cleared. And then, you know, but I try not to get too lost in the, I did that. So, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm always thinking, what can I do next?
Absolutely. And I think part of the reason why these conversations are so important to us is sometimes people tell us, well done, but we're in it. Yeah. So you don't think until someone says it to you, where then if you are trying to be respectful, you must take a moment to consider what has been said to you. That's right. Yeah. And so you say, oh yeah, or someone will come to us and say, hey, thank you for this thing that you did. And I don't remember that we did it, but they do. And I think if these conversations, what we want from them, it's also an opportunity to tell the people that we're speaking to, well done. So I said it at the beginning, but I very much do mean well done. 100%. Well done. We are here with Kamal Lewis. We're going to take one more break. And when we return, we're going to talk about the release of Detective Shabazz.
You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.
Don't you give up, don't you give up, baby. Don't you give up, don't you give up, don't you give up, baby. Don't you give up, don't you give up, don't you give up, baby. Don't you give up, don't you give up. Let me in, let's be free. Let me in, let's be free. The sun don't shine when you're asleep. The sun don't shine when you're asleep. Soul it speaks and I can hear it. In my dreams I hear you scream. In my dreams I hear you scream. The river's near, the water's clear. Quench your thirst for inner peace. Quench your thirst. Your love is deep and I can feel it. Your desires are my release. Your desires are my release. I want you to free. I need you to breathe. Look within and see. You are all you need. Open up to me. I want you to free. I need you to breathe. Look within and see. You are all you need. Don't you give up, don't you give up. All you don't you give up, don't you give up. Take a second, don't you give up. Find your feet. Don't you give up, so much stronger. Don't you give up, than your don't you give up, don't you give up. If you don't you give up, don't you give up. Don't you give up, don't you give up. Open up to me. I want you to free. It's mine. I need you to breathe. Look within and see. You are all you need. Open up to me. I want you to free. It's mine. I need you to breathe. Look within and see. You are all you need. You know that I love you. I want you to trace mine. I wanna spark you. You know that I love you. I want you to trace me. I wanna spark you.
You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.
Conversations. The conversation ongoing, even behind the scenes. We are here with phenomenal author Kamal Lewis, talking about his new book, Detective Shabazz, Marked Man of the Shadows. And for this final segment, the book is soon to be available for you all to have. Soon, you too will be able to have your own copy of this book in your house. Soon, you will be able to have this piece of legacy very soon. And if I can ask, Kamal, tell us when the book is to be released. How can the people find it? Please let us know.
So it will be available to everyone. I'm pleased to tell everybody it will be available to everyone on the 17th of December. So that's what, about a week and a half away? Yeah. I'll be doing a live. There'll be a Zoom, and we should be live streaming as well on Instagram. If you follow us, I'll let them know my handles. If you follow us on Detective Shabazz on Instagram, We're on Detective Shabazz on TikTok and Detective Shabazz on Facebook. It's all Detective Shabazz. We also have detectiveshabazz.com, where you can join our mailing list. If you go into our early access section, you'll be able to remain updated on what we've got going on. But yeah, it'll be available to everybody on the 17th. So in that live on the Zoom, we'll be dropping a link towards the end where you'll be able to get your copy firsthand. So no other link, just a link on the Zoom. No other link, just the link on the Zoom will be your copy. Yeah? So yeah, that's all we're dropping it. And you'll be able to ask questions on the Zoom. We have special guests. You'll be able to ask me questions and I'll be able to answer them as well right before we drop the link.
Phenomenal. Soon you too will be able to have your own copy of this book. Very pleased to say that I will be making a purchase. 100%. And I think maybe the final question perhaps that I'd ask you. If you've got people at home who may be thinking about trying something, it may not necessarily be a book. It could be going to the gym. It could be going to Sainsbury's. Something that they want to try but perhaps have been afraid or anxious about trying. For you who has invested so much in themselves, which is a super challenge, if you could give any advice to someone looking to just start and try, what could you advise them?
Every great person that you know and love had to do it. Whether you are inspired by just intellects, scholars, entertainers, you wouldn't know about them if they didn't get up and do it. With writing, writing in our community, it's more populated by women writers. There's more black female writers than there is males. So it's a bit kind of out of the ordinary. According to the stereotype, I should be rapping.
Right.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with rapping, if you can rap. Not talk, rap. You know what I mean? You know? I think when you look at, I think sometimes what people fear is the reaction from others. Like, why are you doing that? You know, why don't you just be a footballer, or why don't you be something that, you know, we will see on TV all the time? There's nothing wrong with going down that road, but I'm a firm believer that everybody has a unique gift and talent that they've been given to by the creator. That's a part of him, that's a part of you. And it's your job to go out and do it. So whether you might like farming, going around to your friends probably at the age of 15 talking about you want to be a farmer, that might be something that they might laugh after you over. But guess what? Everybody needs to eat. Roadman needs to eat. Government needs to eat. Good people need to eat. Wicked people need to eat. Everybody effing yam. So, you know, you got to follow your passions. And that's where I believe you find true happiness. Because that day, just on my pre-launch alone, not even an official launch, but the pre-launch, the light that I felt inside me, I don't think I've really felt that before to that magnitude, where I got strangers approaching me, telling me that they're really into it. Some people have already bought it and read it and left reviews and said that they really loved this and was captivated by the story. So it's like, just that appreciation alone is like, I'm glad I did it. If you don't, you really need to really gather the courage to pursue your wants and desires. I think it's important to always, I can't remember who I heard it from. You have to kind of work backwards in terms of you see yourself in the future and work your way backwards to say, okay, how would I get there So you see yourself in the end product. And I always would imagine myself whenever I've been on bad times, it's like an auto thing that I do where I get myself back on my feet. Where if I'm in a room and I'm vexed and I'm upset, I imagine like the future me walking through the door and sitting down in front of me and just giving me the talk, which I would tell somebody else. A lot of the time we don't take our own advice. We're good at giving other people advice, but not really for ourselves. I'm like, what would I tell me? And we don't really, I know there's a lot of people who don't really listen to themselves for themselves. You just go by your feeling. And I think it's important that, you know, the people that inspired me, like Walter Mosley and other grand authors, I was so inspired by their journeys. It's about how it's almost not just about what they wrote. It's about the journey that they went on. Even J.K. Rowling, it took her 5 years to write Harry Potter, to my knowledge. I think from 1990 to 95, and then the book came out in 97. And she was dealing with things like homelessness and whatnot. And, you know, she had to get it out. And she had a child. So it's like that conviction that she had to have in herself to put it out there. And she got rejected so many times. But then if she didn't do it, where would she be right now? You probably wouldn't even know about Harry Potter. And look how many people that she's inspired. So everybody has had to get up and pursue their dreams. Don't be wrapped up in what seems cool and, you know, if it's cool to just do this little thing over here just because that's what everybody else is doing. No, stay far from that and always remain unique. My main thing is everybody has something. You may not find it now. It doesn't matter if you're 18, 15, 25, 30, or 35, even 40. You might find your thing at like 45. But don't give up on yourself and don't silence that voice in you that says, I've got this gift, I've got this talent, I need to do something with it. Otherwise, you could have really lived the life that you wanted to build and live. But, you know, if you acquiesce and sit down on it, then you won't be able to. I got a piece in my book that talks about that. Yeah. And it talks about, should I take a look at it and read it a little bit? Yeah. It's right at the end. I won't read all of it.
Please do.
But
Tell it.
yeah, sure, no, I got it. Thank you. It delves into fear, which is a very important part of our lives, and it's a very important part of this story as well. I won't read all of it, but just a piece of it. It says, our fears become our biggest shackles that bind us to submit to what we do not want against our will. And living in fear is ultimately the acceptance of an undesirable reality left unchallenged. The toughest shackles are in our minds, which are often taught, come from past experiences, and sometimes are passed on to us by others. Detective Shabazz's life in the shadows was a reflection of that. We can never shine too bright, living in the shadows of our own fears and others. You've got to follow your heart and be yourself, because we all have a light and the world becomes a brighter place when we all shine. Against all odds, live for what you love so you can love the life you live. Be free. And I don't know what took me to write that. It might sound a bit cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it, I believe, in my personal journey, that you have to build the life that you want to, and it starts by doing what you love. So this year was for me to launch out and do what I love and just totally surround myself, whether that's career and this and stuff like that. I ventured out to do it. And if it fails, I'll have no regret, because at least I tried. You got to try. If you want to be fit, get in the gym. It's not far. You'll find a way. If you want to, put out some music, doesn't matter what anybody says. Even if it flops, keep trying. You will get it if you keep trying. You will get better if you keep writing. Practice. If you want to be a fighter, people like Bruce Lee and this, that, and the other, they didn't come out of nowhere. They trained. They put themselves through hardship to get there. You've got to be resilient, but you've got to be brave.
Absolutely. I appreciate your perspective I appreciate the blessing that you put in the book. I will definitely be reflecting on this conversation. 100% I will. We appreciate you. Keep it going. We very much appreciate you. I hope and pray for the success, the overflow. I ain't gonna do all of that, but I want all of this for you. You know, I appreciate the effort and the time that it has taken you to create this piece of work, and I would like it to flourish into whatever capacity and beyond, even in your wildest dreams. Boy, Dalston Radio Live here with inspiring author Kamal Lewis, Detective Shabazz, marked man of the shadows. December 17th. Look out for it. Way, wicked. And absolutely, final, go for it. Do the most.
Just one final shout out to my publisher, Winsome Duncan, of Peaches Publications. I just had to shout her out because, you know, she found me at a time where I didn't even know what the name of the book was going to be called. But she coached me and she really stuck by. And also shout out to all of those who are no longer here, who were supportive. My legendary Uncle Ian, Granddad, uncles, my friend Roem, cousin Patrice, you know, yeah, man, just everyone. I can't mention everyone. I'm a person, I know so many people. Please don't take it personally. But, you know, yeah, I just wanted to say that and put that out there. And shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to Dalston Radio Live. You guys do excellent. And, you know, let's aim for excellence and up with excellence and down with degeneracy.
Could not have said it better myself. Dalston Radio Live in conversations with. I'm looking forward to listening back to this one myself. If you are catching it on the replay, well, you're at the end of it, so you were in for a treat. You didn't even know it. Dalston Radio Live, and we are out.
You're listening to Dalston Radio Live.